E.G. Idra, one of the snuggliest men in pro gaming, was in fact a small furry rabbit earlier in life, but grew into a hardened Zerg murdering machine.
It was after In Control, of course, taught him again how to do it.
Taught him how to play Zerg. Now keep in mind that Idra very much so is about refinement and precision in the early game. Any little tiny bump he smooths out, knows exactly how to be devoting his larva to Zerglings or drones, when to get the overlords a little earlier or later, so you'll always see him get an extra upgrade or a few extra drones going into the mid game.
We mentioned that both these players have an incredible win rate when it comes to this matchup, both idling around that 65 to 70% ratio. So Sean, are both players ready?
Looks like they are. I asked if both were ready. Idra said yes, and I just started because I am excited for the last match of the day. It is EG's Idra versus Liquid Sheth.
Here we go, where the player is going to be spawning. It looks like they're both going to be spawning here in the north. Liquid Sheth deciding to spawn as the blue Zerg. Of course, we mentioned that he's now representing Evil, and he's going to be spawning, of course, in the north with his opponent right alongside him. The forces of Evil not here for E.G. Idra today. It's going to be the forces of good. He's spawning as the red Zerg up here at the 2 o'clock position.
So we're going to see the Overlords do the infamous pass by. Will they wave hello, or will they go in for the infamous Overlord kiss? It all depends on those angles. In this map, though it seems like the early expand is very solid, you must be worried about early pressure just as you would on any other map. Once the creep can cover this small distance and you can begin to guard your ramp a little more effectively, then things calm down, but there's always going to be a lot of tension in the early game.
I think we're about to see a 10 pool.
Holy 10 pool. Batman Liquid Sheth planting down that early pool.
Would be a very evil thing to do. If we go over and look at Idra's base, that Overlord is already out. Up to 13 supply. Now, is he going to be putting down that 15 hatch, or is he going to be going for that pool gas mix that we used to see right around 14 supply? We're about to find out in a matter of seconds when this larva does come out of that hatchery. And there is the gas coming out to go over into Sheth's base. He did do that double extractor trick, up to 12 supply now. We're going to see the Overlord begin right there.
And you know, this 10 pool is becoming very popular again because if you have the double queen, you can go guard your ramp, block it off wholly, and you don't have to worry about any of that early pressure for a little while. And again, it is a 0 larva expenditure on that queen. Here comes 6 Zerglings out right now. A queen will be hot on the heels of them Zerglings. We see EG's Idra, only has a pool half done, and he's still continuing to drone as well. Will he save that larva up?
Here we go. The lings are about to pop for Sheth. Now, one of the things you got to consider is there are lings on the map, yes, but that spawning pool is very, very quick to actually completing. Go in the unit tab. 15 drones as well for Idra, only 12 for Sheth. So Idra can actually afford to lose a little bit of drones here, and you can also do quite a bit of damage with those drones as well. 6 lings, now getting closer and closer to Greg's base, but here comes the lings for E.G. Idra, about to pop here very soon.
So we do see Idra in the top right, about to have Zerglings reach his base, but they're going to be greeted immediately. No damage really done yet, but Sheth has a few seconds to maximize that concave on his Zerglings. Can he get it? It looks like Sheth is going to go for it, and wow, Sheth might come out on top. No, the control from Idra is much better, and he manages to do, it looks like, an even trade. Zerglings. But Sheth does have more of those resources lost thus far. But I do believe that's just from the erroneous extractor cancel trick.
Now, one of the scary things right now for Sheth is the fact that E.G. Idra is going to have that metabolic boost finishing here very, very soon, and with those speed lings, he can outmaneuver and outrun the lings of Liquid Sheth. We see it just now starting there on the spawning pool in the main base. He does have 2 queens that he can use to wall off there at the ramp, but is he going to be able to get there in time, and is E.G. Idra going to send the lings across map or even produce enough lings so we see a Baneling Nest going down for Sheth and his main.
And there's the Queen Zergling defense at the front. The Baneling Nest is planted, but Idra just playing safe, solid, stably. One Zergling from Sheth manages to work its way in, sees that there's no Roach Warren, sees that there's no Baneling Nest. The second Queen is up for Idra now, and this is that refinement in the early game that we talked so much about. Idra absolutely loves removing any sort of erroneous elements to his play.
Sheth still right now on 1 hat-trick. Baneling Nest about to be finishing here very, very soon. Does have about 120 gas. Will he be going for a big attack here? Speed about to finish. As EG Idra is under map control right now with these speedlings. Looks like he will be falling back. He did see Sheth move out with these well-placed overlords here right outside of Sheth base. And we see speed about to kick in there for Sheth. And now he's going to be going cross map. There's quite a bit of banelings morphing in, Sean. No sunken down just yet. The spine crawler is only just begun.
Uh-oh, Idra now sees that the banelings are there. He's only just begun a spine crawler. It's in an awkward position. Sheth is going to begin the baneling pressure. Oh, Idra's going to have to be very, very careful. Idra does have more Zerglings, and we see, a great job right there by Idra for avoiding that catastrophe. And it looks like Sheth is just going to go for it now, darting up the ramp. Oh no, he is going to trap the queens. Most importantly, pick off those banelings. And the banelings just march directly up that ramp, and meanwhile at the front we see the queen. Oh no, vulnerable there. A couple of Zerglings are in the main for Sheth, but right now it looks like Sheth is getting into the main, and he gets a good hit off, but the drone count is starting to take some serious hits in Sheth's main. The Zergling count for Sheth overall is higher though, and it is a crazy situation right now, but I do believe Sheth is the one coming out slightly on top. So many of these drones are in the red health. He can eliminate a huge number of them if he target fires. A devastating blow to the economy of Idra.
If we look in the units killed and workers killed, 12 drones right now. 4 EG Idra, 2 for Sheth. We see the more and more speedlings coming in here for Sheth, trying to take out more drones. Is he going to be able to get that last one?
And he does. Wow. Only 8 drones out right now, and the Zergling pressure continues. Idra with the better opening. Liquid Sheth, though, with the better control and timing and judgment on that attack. And now Idra is going to begin the slow rebuilding process.
And right now, one of the other things to really factor in is the fact that Sheth is still on that 1 hat-trick. He does. Both players also have the banelings, and it looks like EG Idra is going to be the one going on the offensive here. But Sheth is going to move out before those banelings can hatch. Go toe-to-toe with the Zerglings of Baneling getting very close, taking a ton of links, but here come the banelings of Sheth.
And it looks like Sheth continuing to push forward. Doesn't want to lose these. We see 1 Zergling from Idra following each baneling. Very important. Sheth doesn't lose that one, and he does, though. If there is some way Sheth can continue to press forward, that would be very advantageous. I mean, so far the baneling hits.
That was
not been very
close.
good for Sheth. There's a good one.
Here we go. Sheth is starting to chew down onto these banelings of EG Idra that are being... a huge trade of banelings.
And Liquid Sheth now with a couple more Zerglings will not quite be able to break in. No, he does get 2 more Zerglings there to the front lines. He continues to rip apart this drone count, and Idra has lost so many workers this game. 20 workers total killed by Liquid Sheth.
Hat-trick going down for Liquid Sheth at his natural. If you go into the unit counting station, 10 drones to the 13 of Sheth. Very similar ling counts, but 3 banelings currently out for Sheth. Trying to figure out where exactly those are. They might have been kept back at home base for any ling run-bys. But Sheth right now does have the dominant Zergling count. No banelings whatsoever except for 2 back here in the main base. And here they come down the ramp.
There are 2 queens up right now for Sheth. Well, he has 1. The second one is nearing completion. That means that Sheth can really begin to ramp up the pressure. Idra still trying to sneak out extra drones here and there. Sheth only committing. And there's a good game. Sheth takes down Idra in game number 1. And we definitely are going to be taking another look at that game, because that was just an incredible micro battle. And Idra's option to counterattack turned out to be the incorrect one.
We see right there, Sheth now 1 up over EG Idra, and that game was one of those weird ZVZs where neither player wants to commit to moving past the Ling-Baneling mix, and it is just non-stop action for however long that game was. We'll see just in a couple of seconds as he will be loading into the replay. About 12 minutes of just non-stop Ling-Baneling action.
Yeah, I think that you have to be aware as Sheth that you may have gotten a teensy bit lucky in that game. The opening is fine for Sheth, but that decision by Idra to counterattack was a little bit of a surprising one. As we go back to the early stage of the game, as we just blast through the opening, we saw a little bit of pressure by Liquid Sheth, easily repelled, and the extremely fast hatch by Idra. But Idra waited a tad too long to get that Baneling nest up when this hatch finished. We didn't see the immediate spine crawler. It did end up planting eventually, but it was this moment right here when there was a superior Zergling count from Idra, and here he decided to go for the counterattack. If we look at the unit counting station, they're fairly even in terms of that Zergling count, and the production is also looking pretty even as well, but Idra does have these 2 queens in the mix. It just becomes very difficult to make this sort of commitment because immediately Sheth did massive buckets of damage with this push, basically killing the 2 queens for free. And this swing up into the main base for Idra was just not as damaging as he would have liked. He killed the queen, but with the production from Sheth, absolutely fine. Sheth was able to continue to apply pressure. And at the same time, we see that there has been so many drones killed at this point that also begs the question of when did Idra end up making all of those drones early game, because especially if you're up against a 10 pool, there's nothing wrong with making a couple Zerglings, immediately making the Baneling nest, and then droning, because you do need to worry about some of those follow-up plays. It's a classic example of waiting 15 seconds too long means all the world in a Zerg vs. Zerg.
So, Liquid Sheth right now in the lead in this game. If he can secure yet another victory, it will, of course, be 2-0 in his favor. See Idra right there. Might be looking at the replay. Shell, let's go ahead and get those players invited so we can jump into Game 2. It is going to be on MLG Metalopolis. Of course, MLG Metalopolis means you cannot spawn by close position, and that really actually affects EVZ quite a bit, because if it was, we'd probably just see more of the same with the Ling Baneling.
Yeah, and I mean, it really is likely going to turn into both roaching players. Very common to see players completely skip the Baneling nest in this matchup. More often than not, players will be trying to do higher tech things, be getting the roach speed, trying to get the most important upgrade in the early game, the +1 missile attack that lets roaches kill Zerglings in 2 hits instead of 3. So it looks like Idra actually